How's everybody doing tonight? Tonight will be my 25th discussion. Tonight I'm speaking with Chris Terry of the amazing band Light the Fuse and Run, also in Flesh Eating Creeps and No Omega, also the author of Black Card and Zero Fade. Can't wait to talk to him. Should be a good one tonight. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everyone's safe. It's a crazy fucking week this week. But trying to push the positivity and have a good time tonight. So please, join us, chime in whenever you want. Hope everybody's safe. I'm just waiting on Chris right now. Should be on any second. I think he's West Coast time if I'm not mistaken. Here we go. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good. How are you, Hal? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you good.
Good, good. I got yeah, cool. I'm being a dad with some technology, so I wanted to be sure everything was hooking up okay.
Nice. That sounds great. Thanks again for doing this. I really appreciate you taking time out to talk to me for a little while and, shoot the shit and, talk about old times and also what you got going on now. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for asking me to do this. I'm honored. It's really cool what you've been doing, and it means a lot to be part of it.
Yeah, it's been a real fun time for me. It's positive too on my end because like I was kind of bored and depressed a little bit, and then I started doing these talks, and it kind of pushed me in a more positive realm, and just got me a lot happier by just talking about old times and new times and talking about new music and old music and everything. So
Yeah, same. I reconnected with all my old bandmates. Like we've been kind of loosely in touch, but we got a group chat popping like around Easter, and it's just been it's been kind of nonstop since. Yeah, it's been a good time to kind of look back and also, I guess, be scared about the future and hope for the best, maybe.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Now are you living in California now or?
Yeah. We being me and my wife have been in Los Angeles for about 7.5 years now. Yeah,
And
yeah,
how's that been going? I know Los Angeles had a little, it's been a COVID scare like throughout. So, I mean,
yeah. It's uh, it. We're at home. We have a 6-year-old, so it's just us at home. And so far, we're healthy. We're definitely cooped up and tired of it. But I'm really grateful for the second bathroom in our apartment and our backyard, and that we're still doing okay too. Yeah, I saw a stat that like 1 out of 10 people in the area are positive with COVID right now. So we're being as careful as we can.
yeah,
It's wild. Like, yeah, one of our friends is a nurse, and she was set to get the vaccine or get vaccinated, and like the day before tested positive on her way into work. So it's just like it's really happening.
yeah, it's crazy. Crazy with sports too because I was going to watch the Celtics game after we talked, and they canceled the game because they only had 7 players to play tonight, and so.
Wow.
I feel like that's going to happen a lot in basketball and probably in hockey once hockey starts. So I'm
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened more, honestly. Than I think there's only been like 2 games that have canceled so far. But yeah, it was kind of a bummer. I'm a huge Celtics fan, so it's kind of shitty that they canceled tonight. But I'd rather have them all safe though. So
Yeah. Man.
and
Yeah.
and so I found out a little while ago you're from New England, correct? Or
Yeah. I was born in the Boston area and lived up there until I was 15. My mom is from up there. My dad is from Richmond. So we moved after ninth grade down to Richmond. I went to high school and college there, and like I don't get lost when I go visit Richmond, but I do when I go visit Boston. So I usually just say I'm from Richmond.
yeah.
Um,
What
yeah.
what town were you raised in up near Boston?
We lived in Newton, which is like just west of the city.
Yep.
Yeah. My mom is from Arlington, and like a lot of my family lives north of Boston, and Medford and Malden and Billerica, and still in Arlington.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my parents are actually. Go ahead.
I was reading the Flesh Eating Creeps page, and it said you were originally from Boston. So I was like, whoa! I had no idea. I thought you were from Richmond the whole time.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, little surprise. Yeah, if I go back, if I'm around my mom for like half an hour, the accent comes back. But
So was it a little change when you went down and went to high school in Richmond with the New England accent?
oh yeah, I mean the new everything, man. Yeah, it was wild. Like, people are a little bit more like reserved or closed off in New England. Um, and so like, in the South, it's more polite to like say hi to people on the sidewalk and shit. And
Yeah.
that threw me off because like Richmond's a smaller town than Boston, and my dad was like reconnecting with all of his old like friends from high school and everything. And I thought that like when people were saying hi to me on the sidewalk, I'd always be like, confused. Like, shit, is this one of Dad's friends that I met that I forgot about? Like, I couldn't understand anybody sometimes. Like, just a whole different way of talking, and
Yeah.
like different kind of culture too. Yeah, it was a big change in a lot of ways. But probably a positive one. Like we were in the Boston area, we were like on the humble side of a kind of affluent suburb.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a weird feeling to be living like that. And Richmond felt a little bit more like the playing field was leveled a
Yeah.
little bit more. And I got into punk more down there too, which seems a lot more constructive than some of the stuff I was like starting to get into in the Boston area. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, what kind of got you into like listening to like at first what kind of music did you first like, and then what kind of got you into the punk hardcore stuff? Like what was your first likes, I guess, that pushed you in that direction?
Yeah. So I always liked like my dad, I always liked guitar music. My dad likes like I grew up hearing, like Hendrix and Prince and Muddy Waters and Thin Lizzy in the house. And like, so I heard like that and kind of other hard rock. So it wasn't much of a jump to start listening to punk. Um, I remember in seventh grade, I remember Seth Bab was just saying a similar thing. Like, I got a Fugazi tape and I got Nirvana Nevermind for Christmas in seventh grade when I was 12. And that definitely was kind of a game changer. Like, I started working my way back from both of those bands. And so I found like the bands that Nirvana covered, and I heard Minor Threat and things like that. And at the same time, I was more of like a hip hop fan. So I was listening to a lot of the rap that like was popular with skateboarders in the early 90s, like
Yeah.
Hieroglyphics and Native Tongues and Far Side, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But and so in Boston, there were a couple of bands from my town. There's a band called Toxic Narcotic, which are like
Yep.
kind of a spiky type of
Yep.
band.
I know who they are. Yeah.
Um,
I've seen them.
so I was, and there was a ska band called Skavuvi and the Epitones. They were good. But yeah, like all the kind of lowlifes in my suburb used to hang out at this one train station. Um, so so I ended up going to shows and seeing those bands like at the Middle East or the Rat and stuff
Yeah.
when I was maybe 13, 14. So I kind of had like a framework for punk, but it didn't. And I remember I took like one really fateful trip to the library with my mom, and I went to the music section and got like a Buzzcocks tape, Velvet Underground tape, and London Calling by The Clash. And it was like that was like some of the first kind of punk stuff that I had of my own
Yeah.
at the house. Otherwise, I was doing things like I'd get some Christmas money or some birthday money, and I'd be like, I heard about this band in Thrasher. This looks cool. I want to check this out, but I don't want to drop like a full $9 on the full length album.
Yeah.
Let's see if what's like the cheapest Black Flag tape I can get. And then I got like a shitty EP from like 1986 when it was just like weird noodly metal. And I'm like, this is Black Flag. This is what punk sounds like. I feel like I'm kind of rambling here, but I'm going to keep rambling.
No, that's fine. Yeah, ramble.
In in Richmond, like a few months after I moved, a guy that I used to skate with brought me to a show. There's a club called Twisters, which is on Gray Street by VCU, and it had other names. It was called Nancy Raygun for a hot minute, and Strange Matter, and it was like the long-running kind of Middle East rat-sized, couple hundred-person venue that had all ages shows.
Yeah.
And I saw it was the spring of 1995, like right around when I turned 16. I saw Four Walls Falling, who were like a straight edge band from Richmond.
Yep.
And Frodis, when they were first getting started, they were like a post-hardcore band who were on Tooth and Nail a few years later. And a band called Damn Near Red, which is like this cool kind of shoegaze type of band from Richmond with a woman singer with an amazing voice. She went on to be in a band called The the Rob Ross, like a few years later.
Oh,
But I remember that was the first time it kind of clicked. I was like, there's cool shit going on right around where I live. Like, and this seems accessible. This seems like something I can do, and kind of find an accepting community, which was kind of a tough thing for me. So that's when I really like got into it. Was
now,
probably like spring of 1995 in 10th
now
grade.
when you first started going to shows in Boston, was
Yeah.
it your friends that you kind of went with, or did you kind of just gravitate on your own, like saying like, well, I want to go to a live hardcore show or punk show, or did you have friends that were like, oh, come to the show with me?
It was, yeah, like some of the people that I used to like skate with or whatever, would all be like, "Oh, we're all going to go do this on Sunday. Let's go." And it's like a matinee at the Middle East or something.
Yeah.
So it was kind of the crew I was running with, like positive peer pressure, I guess, to go see some bands.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, my
crazy.
parents.
Go ahead.
I was going to say my parents are like real. They're music lovers, and they're real. Like we're really always really encouraging about me being into music or being into art or whatever. So they were pretty permissive about that stuff and like let me take the T into the city and go see bands and stuff when I was still pretty young.
Yeah, I had a similar like background. I started going to shows at 12. Well, hardcore punk shows, and then
Yeah,
I've told the story a million times. I saw SSD and DYS
I heard that. That's bonkers.
at Gallery East. It was the first punk hardcore show I ever been. One of my cousin's older friends brought me, and I was scared shitless when I went in there. I loved it. I loved the energy, but I was scared shitless. And
Yeah,
so I thought I was going to get beat up in there. So I didn't go to a show until I was like 15 after that. So it was like a 3-year span where I got, a little more hair on my chest and I could, and then I
that's you.
started
You.
going to, go ahead.
Oh, that's cool. Like some people will get in and out of the punk scene in 3 years, and you like built up to it for 3 years. You were, that's cool.
And it's weird. Like you said, with Thrasher, I feel like a lot of the people that I talk to and my friends also around here, that's what started them. I never skateboarded in my life. It wasn't, my thing. I was more of a jock that liked hardcore punk music. So I was playing sports all the time, but I would always pick up a Thrasher because they had that music section in it, and it always had some hip hop in it and had some punk
Yeah,
stuff. And so when I saw like Cro-Mags and like when Agnostic Front had first started, I was like, holy shit, what is this? Like, and it kind of got me into that wave of music. And also, I wanted to be a punk because I saw the movie Repo Man, and that put me. I was like, oh, I want to be a punk rocker guy. Like
that. I was just thinking I wanted to rewatch that movie. I remember that being a pretty cool movie, and I bet it's weird as hell to watch now too.
yeah, I
Like,
haven't seen it in a while, but I have that memory of like watching that and being like, holy shit, like I love I love like these guys, you know what I mean, being punk rockers and going in an alley and skanking it up, and so that's what kind of drew me, that magazine and that movie, and it just pushed me in that direction a little bit. But I had always I came from like a heavy metal to like a metalcore, then like regular hardcore, and then turned into the screamo and stuff like that, which I can't stand.
yeah,
I can't stand that name screamo or scrams. That's crazy, but
yeah. I don't think it's weird. I don't think anyone ever likes those names. Like for any of like the emo related names, everyone's like, I hate that name for it, but I love the music.
yeah,
I,
exactly. I think if you're over 40, you can't stand that name screamo or scrams, especially. It drives me nuts. But I think if you're 40 plus, like back then, it wasn't called that when we were in that scene.
yeah, yeah. I'm not mad. Whatever. I'm just glad people are talking about it.
Yeah, definitely.
And the name's not offensive, but it's weird. Yeah, Scrams kind of hit me sideways, but I was like, I didn't hear that till I was almost 30, and I was like, well, now I could have something to talk about my bands. So when I say I was in an emo band, people don't think that I was in like My Chemical Romance
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like talking to somebody at work, and they're like, "Wait, you were in an emo band? I'm trying to picture you with that flat iron hair and everything." It's like it wasn't like that. It was a little different. Yeah.
So was Flesh Eating Creeps your first band that you joined, or were you in like kind of like other bands that kind of progressed into that?
That was the first band. I used to jam with some friends when I was in middle school in the Boston area, but we never like did a show or anything. But the band, yeah, Flesh Eating Creeps is the first band that I joined. That was like the summer after 10th grade. Brendan Tracey was the guitar player. He's still like a close friend of mine. We were like the two high school kids who lived kind of near the college in Richmond and went to shows and stuff.
Yeah.
So we were like the two 16-year-olds at the house show. But yeah, we started the band, or he already had a band going and they were looking for a singer. And I'm not really good at any instruments. I can hardly sing either, but they let me do it. So I joined and we had that band for like, man, it lasted for like almost 5 years. We had a bunch of different bass players, a couple of drummers, and it kind of progressed. Like, we kind of sounded like early 80s hardcore, like Flex Your Head DC type of stuff at first, and progressed into like noisy, kind of technical, almost like Born Against and that band All, like kind of noodly,
Yeah.
but still like really short blasts of music. It just got kind of progressively weirder over the course of a few years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when I listen to it, it's definitely the style changed a little bit towards like not crazy chaotic, but definitely faster and almost like the beginning of like a power violency type, stuff, like real short.
yeah.
And like you said, what what did you think of? Obviously, wait. One question I have to ask you is you.
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned you played the Tin Can Fest that Pete from Sinaloa had set up.
Yeah.
How was that experience? And was that 1999? Because I went to the one in '98, and I don't remember you guys playing that. So it must have been the next year because I missed that year.
Yeah, it was 99. We finally like got our shit together. We're, barely 20 years old and we're like, we're going on tour. We're doing a month. We're fucking doing it. And it was kind of a disaster. We played like 14 shows in 30 days and we were in this shitty minivan with all our equipment that kept breaking down. And at some points we were just trying to hop on shows. And Pete was nice enough to let us hop on at Tin Can Full of Dreams in Worcester. And that was really, really cool. I feel like we met a lot of people that day and like made a lot of friends. Some of the people we're still in touch with or that we ended up doing stuff with later. Like we played with, I think, Devola and iRobot maybe played, and we played with them. And like we ended up linking with those guys a lot over the next, year or so that our band was together. And like Pete is somebody that I've always pretty much been in touch with since. And yeah, I remember, I think I saw like Reversal of Man and
Yeah.
Combat Wounded Veteran and stuff. And it was a good show, even to just be there,
I think I didn't. I'm pretty sure Orchid played that show too, didn't they?
I don't remember. I know I saw Orchid a few times in that era. I don't remember if they were on that one though. That would have been good.
That was a good lineup though. The one that '99 Tin Can Fest was a really really good lineup. I remember like looking at the flyer, and then I think there's a few videos on YouTube of that fest also.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
The bad thing about the Reversal though is like Matt wasn't in the band at that time. I don't think. I think he missed that tour. Matt Copeland. But still,
is that when they went and then they had just the guitarist singing?
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah.
It's still Reversal of Man. It's Reversal of Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You have that one video of the other Combat Wounded Veteran playing on your page.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, this is if I want someone to know kind of what it was like what the music I was into was like and what the scene was like I had that video ready. Yeah, they were really good.
That was actually Pete's last Tin Can Fest that was in Providence, Rhode Island. That Combat Wounded Veteran video was from.
Okay.
And that was like
nice.
I think that was one of Orchid's like one or two last shows that they ever played too
wow.
on that bill too.
Okay.
Which was really good. I mean, Pete's a great guy. I love Pete. He's set up so many amazing shows up here. It's incredible. And I was lucky enough to book Sinaloa a couple times up in New England too. So I love all those guys, Pete, Brendan, Luke.
Yeah.
All those guys. So when Flesh Eating Creeps ended, how did Light the Fuse and Run kind of get together?
Yeah, Flesh Eating Creeps, we we were talking to Mountain Records about doing a record. And we finally were like, we like this lineup. I think like we were a little bit exhausted by like changing lineups so often. And we're like, this is it. If anyone quits or it's going to be the end of the band. And like a month later, our drummer got into college in North Carolina and we're like, fuck. So that was like early 2000. It was like right around when I turned 21. We played our last show at Brendan lived in this punk house, like a block from the VCU campus.
Yeah.
Sorry, my cat's meowing at me. And yeah, so Flesh Eating Creeps broke up. And Light the Fuse and Run was kind of getting started and looking for a singer. And I don't know, maybe I was talking to Mike, who was one of the good. I knew all the guys in the band before.
Yeah.
Um, and I started singing for them. Less than 6 months later, we played our first show after Flesh Eating Creeps broke up. So that was like fall of 2000. I remember I was playing, I had that band and I was playing guitar in like a country band that backed up a drag queen in Richmond.
Oh, really?
So I had like two really contrasting musical experiences going on.
Yeah.
Um, and Flesh Eating Creeps, excuse me, Light the Fuse and Rum, we used to practice in this like weird upstairs from a bar or a restaurant or something in downtown Richmond. And I don't know what it was zoned to be, but like the bathroom was broken and there was a fucking oil funnel stuck in a broken window that people used to use as a toilet. It was so disgusting. And it was one of those things where like every month to get rent, you had to track down like 15 different dirt bags to get like $18 from everybody to pay the rent. And it just takes all fucking months to do it. It's
Yeah.
just like this never ending process of like looking for drunk 19-year-olds to get a little bit of money from them because they might not have. But that's how Light the Fuse and Run got started. Yeah.
Going back to Flesh Eating Creeps, I had one more question.
Yeah.
You were in the same practice space that 400 Years played in, right? Is that correct? I read that on the Flesh Eating Creeps.
Oh, you know what it was? I think so. So me and Brendan, toward the end of the band, we lived in a punk house in Richmond called 805 West Carey Street. In Richmond, they didn't really do a lot of like clever punk house names. It was always just the address,
Yeah.
which was pretty good for flyers if you didn't, unless you wanted the cops to show up. But 805 was like this long-running punk house. Taylor Steele, the singer for Four Walls Falling, lived there for a long time, and some of the folks from 400 Years lived there. And we're kind of and then me and Brendan moved in. And it was like maybe 8 people living in there. I remember my rent at its lowest was like $89, and I had my own room. But we used to practice in the basement, and I think 400 Years would practice down there sometimes. There was a band called Lewistown that would practice down there, and this band called The Exploder, who were like a kind of chaotic emo core type of band also would practice down there. So the roommates that weren't in bands fucking hated it because it was like every night someone was practicing in the basement. Yeah.
So did you see 400 Years a bunch of times since they were practicing in that same place you guys were at?
Some. I didn't. They didn't play in Richmond a whole ton. They would only play every few months. But I saw them a bunch. I remember once there was a gay bar called the Pyramid that would have punk shows sometimes. I remember they played with Avail. Avail they were so popular that they do like surprise shows.
Yeah.
In a smaller venue. And I remember there was one where like Avail hopped on a 400 Years show. And I remember seeing both of those bands there in this tiny bar near the bus station in Richmond. And I saw them also. One of the coolest shows I remember seeing, it was summer of '96. And they played with Torches to Rome and shit, who else? I'd say it was such a good show. Now I can't fucking remember who played. Just seeing Torches to Rome alone was so amazing, That was at a place called the Biograph, which was like a weird old kind of art house movie theater that knocked out all the seats and just let bands play. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, I saw 400 Years a bunch of times. Like they were just putting out their second LP when I was living over there. So I remember it kind of changed. Darren was like starting to sing some instead of screaming.
That's amazing. That's one band that I never got to see live. I've seen a billion bands and I never got to see them. So I'm always jealous to hear stories about like people seeing them and stuff like that. Also, Race Band was another one of the bands that I never got to see. I've seen like pretty much everybody else except those two bands. And like I said, I get jealous when somebody's like, "Oh, Race Band and or 400 Years show was so amazing." It's kind of, I always have to ask.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I saw Race Band or not. I'm not sure. I know they were on Level Plane at the same time, but I feel like they were kind of circulating in the Midwest more, and we were like in the Northeast. And yeah.
Did you guys ever play Dude Fest?
Where was that?
That's was in Indiana, I think.
No, I think that might have been. I've heard of that. I think it might have been a little after our time, like maybe Wow Owls, which was Jeff from like the Fuse and Run's band. After Fuse might have played it. We never played.
I thought it was right around the time when you and Transistor were kind of, like around that time when they were touring, because I know Transistor played because Brian Faber had brought me back like he gave me like 20 flyers of the show, and I forgot if you guys had played that show.
You know, let me look. We have Chris Kirby, one of the guitarists from Fuse. He made a list of our shows, and we have a Google Doc of that where we're writing down memories and stuff.
Yeah.
So let me see if Dude Fest is on there. Brian Faber. Okay, I gotta ask. We need to make like a podcast called Finding Faber. What the fuck happened to that guy? Where did he go? Does anyone know?
Like I said, he just disappeared. I was talking to Nat a little while ago, and he had said he hadn't seen him for years and years and years. I think he bumped into him at a Guitar Center. Like, I don't even know. It could have been like 10 years ago. And
Okay.
I don't think if you listen to that talk that me and him had, it wasn't a very like good split. He said basically when you guys were on tour, the next day, like Nat woke up and Fred, and they were like, "Oh, where's Brian?" And it might have been Chris Kirby who was like, "Oh, he left," and Nat was like, "What do you mean left?" And he's like, "Well, he's on his way home." And he's like, "What?" Like that's so. I think it wasn't a very good split with all those guys. Me and Brian Faber were really, really close. I worked with him for a while. I had known him for a long time. I mean, he lived in the town right next to me. We hung out all the time, and he was basically the one that always told me about shows that were happening and stuff like that. So he just disappeared, honestly. Like I was close friends with him, and then all of a sudden I don't know what happened. It was just like he disappeared.
Man, I hope he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I people up here have like searched for him on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, nothing. So I don't know. I know Fred is back on Instagram though.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, he's another one that I remember I randomly ran into Derek Archambault at God, I think it was in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Me and my wife were like driving through New England and stopped and went to a record store, and him and Garrison were working there. It was like,
oh, really?
What the fuck, guys? I haven't seen you in 5 years. Yeah.
Speaking of that tour, how was that tour with Transistor? I know you guys went on a pretty good tour.
Yeah, I mean it was cool. It was summer 2003, and it was like 100 days long. With Transistor, we did the first 2 months around the U.S. and in southern Canada and stuff, and then we did like a month in Europe afterward. Honestly, it was the end of our band. Like after you spend an entire summer in the van with 4 other sweaty dudes, like you want to break from each other, you know? But it was a good tour. Like we had just put out the split with Transistor, which I was really proud of musically. And like, you know, we were doing stuff with Level Plane Records, which was like that
was the mecca of the record labels then.
Yeah, we were like sort of finally got to be the cool kids, which was a weird feeling. Like I remember we played in Jersey, and this 15-year-old's looking at our merch and is like, "Oh, I wish I was on Level Plane." And I was like, "This is awkward," but it was great. We had a bunch of good shows. I especially like playing on the West Coast and playing in the Northeast. Like I think we got our best responses in both of those places. And just that kind of feeling of like I just finished up college and was kind of looking into becoming a grown-up in the semi-near future, but like getting to do this and travel around and play music was such a cool experience. You know, it was also exhausting, and I was drunk for like 101% of it, which wasn't too good on me. I got home.
That could be taxing on your body, definitely.
Yeah. I remember I got home and my roommate in Richmond, Johnny, he was working as a park ranger that summer. So his job was like hiking around and updating all these systems that tracked rainfall or something. And my job that summer was like sitting in a van eating Taco Bell and drinking 40s. So it's like I remember he like looks all tan and buff, and I just look like I look like a quesadilla or some shit. I remember being like maybe I need to rethink some of these life decisions a little bit. But the tour was good. I'm just complaining.
What was like a couple of your favorite shows that you guys played on that tour that really meant something to you? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was always cool to play at like venues that I heard of that were in other places. Like we played at Gilman Street in Berkeley, which just had such a long history. With like Green Day and Operation Ivy and Jawbreaker and all these bands. So I felt like it was really special to play there. And I remember the show going well too. We played with Funeral Diner. I don't know if Seth is on here or not, but it was always fun to play with them on the West Coast. And I remember liking playing it. I think it's called 1919 Hemp Hill in Fort Worth, Texas. I remember that, knowing that was kind of like a legendary spot, and playing at the Legion of Doom, which is that long-running punk house in Columbus, Ohio. Which, as far as I know, people still live there. Like, it's been a punk house for 40 years. Hey, Seth. um, yeah, so it was that type of stuff, and also just, sometimes it kind of seemed like every town was sort of similar, and that you could pull off the freeway, and there's like a Burger King and a gas station, but also just seeing some of the different nature and seeing different parts of the country. I remember like um, driving up the PCH in the evening around Big Sur and just like looking over the cliffs, and it's just, it's beautiful. The nature is just completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was the when you guys played with Daughters up here in Austin, was that on that tour? Because that was an amazing show. That
Oh, thank you. Was
luckily
that? I'm sure we played with
I got to
Daughters a few.
videotape that.
What's that?
I said luckily I got to videotape my show, so
Okay,
it was,
that was that one in the basement.
yeah, no, that was in like the church. It was like the ICC church in Alston, Mass.
Yes.
I think it was
Okay.
Transistor, you guys, Daughters. There might have been a couple. Wolves might have played that. I'm not sure.
Oh, cool. Okay, man. I wish I could go back and see some of these bands again. I think so. We played with Daughters a good bit. Like, I remember on our first tour, which was May of 2001, we played with them, like a house show with them in Providence, when they were also a newer band. I don't remember which other times we played with them, but I know that they were definitely in the mix. Like, we were in the mix with them a good bit.
Yeah.
I remember they came down in 2002. They came down to play in Richmond, and they stayed with us for a couple of days. I was living with Evan, the drummer from Light the Fuse, who was another New Englander. He's from Cape Cod.
Yeah.
And Neil Simpson, who was our bassist at the time. And I remember the guys from Daughters, they left a 40 of OE in the fridge. And like, I kind of had learned a couple hard lessons with malt liquor at that point, but Neil had not. And I remember he was like, "Oh, here, we got some beer. I think I'm going to drink this." And he like got a glass out of the cabinet, and he got the 40, like screws off the top, just pours himself a nice glass of beer. And I remember he sat down on our porch and like took one sip and was kind of like, and poured it into the fridge. So that was a little gift that kept on giving from Daughters.
I know it's very weird that like two New England guys like are in like the Fuse and Run. I know Evan was in Force Fed Glass, and
Yeah.
he was in Bastion as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy that two New Englanders. It's so cool. I always talk about how awesome like the Boston area is for the culture and hardcore and punk, and then also Richmond is so rich in hardcore and punk and music in general. Just like we were talking about, Mutant Academy. There's so many good rappers from the Richmond area too. Fly Anakin and Concept
Yeah.
Jackson and Henny Lo and Big Kahuna OG, all those guys. That clique right there is really, really good, and they just push out tons of music all the time. They're super busy all the time.
Yeah. They're prolific. Yeah. Nicholas F. is my favorite rapper from
Nicholas
Richmond.
F. Yeah, he actually did some stuff on the album that I was listening to today, the Chapel Drive with Fly Anakin and Concept Jackson. He's on that album as well.
Cool. I need to dig deeper. I know there's a lot going on. I usually like try to just take one album and get to know it pretty well. So I'm getting to know the Fly Sifu album right now, and I think I'm going to dig deeper into the Mutant Academy next.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I try to be a sponge, but it's so hard to, like you said, I like to take my time and listen to something, and I have so much thrown at me. I am a sponge, and I try to take as much information as I can in, but it's hard to remember too with my age and stuff like that too. I lose track of my thought process and trying to remember everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, since my kid's at home all the time now, like my rap music listening time is way cut back. Yeah. My wife took him on a couple errands this morning, and I was working and listening to the Fly Sifu album. Like, cool. I haven't really had a chance to play this.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to explain some of this language to a 6-year-old right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually do my listening to on the ride to work. That's usually my thing, back and forth from work. It gives me a good like maybe 50 minutes a day of like trying to dive into something.
That's nice. Yeah, I do that or when I'm running is my other time if I'm not commuting. Yeah.
Light the Fuse and Run was so like that band made means a lot to me, because in those 3 years that it was 3 years you guys were together, right?
Mm-hmm.
The releases by far are some of my favorite releases. The full LP, all your bass LP, and the split with Transistor, and also, I mean, there's only 2 songs on the Hot Cross split, but
Uh-huh.
those songs are just so amazing. And if anybody like wants to go back and listen to those, like those are some amazing hardcore punk albums. I love those so much, especially All Your Bass Are Belong to Us is by far my favorite thing you guys put out.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we wanted to just like, I remember Evan really wanted to do an LP for starters. Here, I was digging in my record crate. It's orange. I guess you can't see much else, but
Oh,
thank you. It's going to start. So Seth from Repeater Records, he's helping us put all this stuff on streaming. So it'll be, the LP is currently on Spotify and Apple Music. And I don't know if anyone fucks with Tidal, but maybe it's on there too.
I think all that stuff is on. You have a Bandcamp too.
So we have a Bandcamp. Yeah, well, all the stuff's on Bandcamp. And then I know the LP popped up on Spotify, and Seth is helping us get the rest of it on there as well. So soon enough, it's going to be a little bit more readily available, which is exciting.
Yes.
I don't really like, I get embarrassed listening to my old music and everything, but that's in part so I don't listen to it so I can still be proud of it, because I don't know, I'm glad we got to do what we did, and I don't want to ruin that or something.
Well, what was the thought process of putting out Fire Sale? Just kind of getting those unreleased songs. I know 2 of the songs were recorded with Will from Orchid up at Dead Air.
Yeah.
That was the thing, just trying to get the demo or the old songs put onto maybe an album or CD.
Yeah, we wanted to collect all of that type of stuff all in one place. And especially personally, like I was just really motivated to get those last couple of songs out there in the world, because those are, excuse me, 2 of my favorite songs that the band did. I feel like we were, I don't know, those are like 2 of my, I feel like we were still like getting better as a band. We didn't do our shitty hair metal record or anything. And so I was, really proud of those songs, and we played them that whole summer on that first tour and demoed them with Will Killingsworth at Dead Air Studios, like on a day off on the tour. And I know we really wanted to share those. I think Will is such a awesome engineer. Like I love the kind of raw and powerful sound he gets from the music that he records, and it was really cool to get to do something with him. We were staying at his house, and I remember I like woke up and was drinking coffee and just like went into the recording studio and sang.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, so we wanted to get it all in one place with Fire Sale. And that's where it was. I'm looking for a place to prop up my phone so I'm not shaking it all around like a drunk person.
Yeah, that, like when Fire Sale popped out, I couldn't find it anywhere. It was like almost impossible to find, and I was kind of bummed out that literally you couldn't find it anywhere. I was like searching all over the internet to buy it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I knew that.
Really?
Yeah. I think I like was late maybe a year or 2 after it came out, and then when I heard about it and I was like, oh shit, I gotta get that. I couldn't find it anywhere. It was crazy.
Man, I know that Chris Kirby, who was one of our guitarists, he like it was on a label that he was doing with a couple of his friends, and I think the label maybe kind of zigged and zagged and might have stopped after a year or 2.
Yeah.
I got the idea that they didn't sell a ton of those CDs, and there's still boxes of them sitting in someone's garage.
Yeah, well, if somebody has them, hit me up, and I'll be glad to pay for it, because I'd love to have it in my collection.
Thank you.
No,
John Martin has them all in the trunk of his car, says Tyler. That's Tyler from Wow Owls from Tizza.
I love Wow Owls. They're so good. They were so good.
Yeah,
So good.
we went to Richmond for the holidays. We fucking drove cross country, and my wife is from Richmond as well. And yeah, I got to hang pretty hard with Jeff, who sang for that band. It was kind of socializing was quality over quantity, because we didn't want to be spreading germs.
Yeah.
But I got to see Jeff for a bit. It was great.
Oh, that is great. And Evan from Reds, I was talking to him, and he told me about No Omega, which I had no idea about. And he's like, "Oh, you haven't heard that band with Chris?" And I'm like, "No." And so he sent me the songs, and I didn't even know about that. How did that band come about? And I know you guys weren't together long, and it said that you guys were from Brooklyn, New York. How did that kind of work out?
Yeah, I moved to New York in early 2004, and I wanted to have a band. And um, my I just met Sharon is now my wife, and we started dating back then. She caught me young, and yeah, she knew I wanted to be in a band. And I think she got me talking to some of them, some of the guys. Eric, who was in End of the Century Party, was singing for them for a minute. With Edwin was one of the other guys from End of the Century Party who was in. They were like a Florida kind of Southeast hardcore, fuck yeah, power violence type of band.
Yeah.
They needed a new singer, and she introduced me. Jeremy Scott was the bass player. He runs Civil Defense Studio in New York. And he lived in this loft called the Woodser, where there were a lot of shows. It was like right by the Williamsburg Bridge. Um, and the drummer's name, Jason Holmes. I joined the band, and we did a couple demos. I remember we played I think it was our first show. It was around Halloween 2004 at the Woodser Loft, and it was with Wrangler Brutes, and which is Sam McPheeters' band, his last hardcore band. It was with Wrangler Brutes and like a bunch of noise bands also. So I remember like sitting in between, like sitting outside, and it sort of sounds like you hear trains going over the Williamsburg
Yeah.
Bridge, and then it sounds like a fucking train is driving through the inside of the loft as well. I'm like, is this a band? What's going on? But that was our first show. We were around for like a year. We did a short tour to Florida and back. We played in Gainesville. We played Best Friends Day in Richmond in 2005, and that was about it for the band. I was kind of trying to like grow up while also not grow up at the same time in Richmond, in New York rather, kind of trying to have my cake and eat it too. It
Yeah.
was hard having a band up there. Like, it's harder to find a practice space because no one has a basement or whatever, and
Yeah.
getting your equipment around. And a lot of the shows were at bars, and it would be like being out till 2 a.m. on a Wednesday just so you could like play a 15-minute set.
Yeah.
We played a lot at the Knitting Factory, had a lot of all ages shows. Evan Kilgore actually from Reds did a lot of our gigs, and we played a few shows with them. We did a weekend up to New England with Reds as well in like early '05. I remember we played the Flywheel, and we played a couple other places too.
I think the Flywheel I think it just closed down. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, it sucks. Up here, I'm sure as well as everywhere, there's a lot of clubs that are getting shut down because of COVID, which is a shame. I think it sucks. I'm a huge, I love going to shows. I love seeing live performances, and it's been hard for me. I mean, it's almost been a year now since I've seen anything live, and it just is very sad that all these like awesome, clubs are closing down because of this pandemic.
Yeah, I agree. I'm wondering like if this goes on for long enough, I wonder if it's just going to kind of decimate like an entire middle level of of businesses. Like small, medium-sized businesses. It's all going to be like Target or like one person running an Etsy store and like nothing in between.
Yeah,
If this
yeah.
goes on for much
I
longer,
mean,
I think.
it's killing the movie industry too. I mean, I think theaters now are pretty much like getting choked out too. Especially, I mean, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with what HBO did. I don't know if you know, they put out the Wonder Woman and they put it out in theaters, and I think like the theater businesses were kind of hurt by that because you could watch it in the privacy of your own home, and it takes away money from their hands. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I mean, I feel like they're trying to choke out theaters as well. You know what I mean? And it's just a sad thing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I'm not huge on the experience of going to a movie theater, but I like a lot of the kind of art house type of cinema stuff I see going away, and a lot of my friends are into that. I think that's a shame. It's hard, I think like there will be a venue for Wonder Woman always.
Yeah,
But like the kind of more like indie stuff is going to be hit really, really hard.
yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. It's going to probably take some time to rebuild, and I think a lot of stuff will be changed in ways we can't even predict.
I know. I feel like
Yeah.
with the underground hardcore punk scene, I feel a lot of basement shows are going to start happening now, which is I love basement shows. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
but I feel
yeah,
like even that hosting that with this going on, the new normal will be scary too when numbers start going down and stuff like that. I mean, I have an unfinished basement. I would have a show. It's like, but I have to have enough courage and nerve to like be safe enough to be like, okay, I'll have
50 strangers in my basement
Yeah,
that
it's gonna
that
be,
don't have COVID.
Lord. Yeah, it's gonna be a while. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird to think about. I mean, it's been almost a year for us, and we're in our 40s, and my kid is like 6. This has been going on for something like 15% of his life at this point.
Yeah.
A year isn't a whole lot to me. It feels like a long time, but
Mm.
yeah, it's weird. It's weird to think about how all the different things, all the effects it's going to have.
I know, it's crazy.
Mm.
So talking about writing, what got you into writing and writing novels and how did that kind of start for you?
Yeah. Damn. Sorry. I live on a busy street, and it's right where 2 lanes come together. So anytime there's like someone on a motorcycle or like a hot rod, they always gun it right here to cut other people off. So if you hear an engine, that's what's going on. Um, yeah. My mom's a librarian, and I really clicked with reading when I was younger. Ah, shit. Sorry, my phone prop wasn't working too good.
That's all right.
I always like to write. Like that was the first time I cared about homework that I had in school was
Yeah.
when we had a writing assignment in 3rd grade, and like English was the class I'd get an A in. And I always like even when I was playing in bands, I figured I wanted to write books. And maybe when I got older, instead of being like the old guy who's trying to rock out too hard, I could write books because it seemed a little easier. And as I got, into my late 20s, I was like, well, if I'm writing, no one's late to band practice. I can do this whenever. It's a lot less logistics. Um, and I went to grad school. I got a master's degree in creative writing. Starting when I was like 29, I went back to school in 2008. And to graduate, you had to like draft a novel. You had to write 200 pages. Um, and I was working on a book the whole time I was there, and it ended up being my first novel, which is called Zero Fade.
Mm.
Um, and then after that, I wrote one, and like it got nice reviews. It wasn't, like a bestseller. It didn't change the world or anything, but
Yeah.
it definitely made me feel like this was something I could do, and I wanted to do it more. And I started writing my second novel, which is called Black Card. I have a copy of it. That came out about a year and a half ago now. This is the paperback. So Black Card is fiction that's inspired by some of my experiences in the punk scene in Richmond in the early 2000s and in the late 90s. And it also is about like I have a black dad and a white mom, and it's inspired by like me kind of trying to figure out stuff about my racial identity at that age too. Because one of the reasons I kind of got into punk was like living in the South, especially, like racial identity shit seemed a little extra complicated. And I was like, I'm tired of thinking about this. I need an easy answer. So, being black or white or both, that's too complicated. Fuck it, I'm punk now. And I could only keep myself from thinking about that for but so long. And it definitely started kind of crashing back in on me
Yeah.
when I was like 20. So Blackheart kind of fictionalizes some of those experiences. It's about a punk musician who has a black imaginary friend named Lucius, who like takes away his black card, like his actual credibility as a black person, and he has to go on a mission to try to win it back. So that's what happens in that book. Yeah. So
Uh,
that's that's my second book.
what was Zero Fade about?
Zero Fade is like a week in the life of a 7th grade boy. Um, and it's about his kind of misconceptions about adulthood and masculinity. The three like main people in his life are all kind of going through some changes. His mom is just starting to date again, and that's weirding him out. And his sister is like kind of starting to run with a bad crowd and doesn't want to hang out with him. And his favorite uncle is who's kind of his father figure is coming out as gay. And the kid's a homophobe in like a 13-year-old boy type of ew gross type of way.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of dealing with the stereotypes that he has about gay people versus the reality of this person who's essentially his dad being gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you currently writing a new book or?
Yeah. I've been working on something on and off for the last year, and one of my New Year's resolutions is to bang out 500 words every day. That's like 2 pages.
Yeah.
So I just finished my first week of doing that. Yeah, I'm trying to write like a mystery type of story. I'm scared of like blabbing about it too much because for all I know, I'm going to write another 50 pages and be like, fuck, this isn't working. I need to change it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to write another novel, mystery with kind of a weird like ghost element to it as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Just trying to, I mean, since Black Card was semi-autobiographical. I'm definitely trying to flex my imagination a lot harder on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now if somebody came to you pitching a movie for that, would you be open to doing any of your novels movie wise?
Funny you'd ask. My job right now is I got hired to write a TV pilot based on Black Card.
Oh, nice.
um, yeah, yeah. It feels. I feel weird. Like it's kind of a tone deaf time to have good career news, because like shit sucks right now.
Yeah.
And I'm really lucky that like right now my job is I'm writing a TV script. So it feels good to go to work. I used to write ads and I didn't like that. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I have something that I really care about and am excited about to do right now. I've been working on it since like it was like if everything shut down on I think Friday the 13th of March. I want to say it was that like not even a week before I had the phone call where they're like, yes, start writing this thing. There's a check coming, basically.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's been my job for the whole pandemic. I'm kind of pivoted into being a screenwriter, which is a cool thing to fall into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you, Hal. You never know. It's cool, but it also feels like it could stop at any given moment. So
Yeah. Well,
you never know.
When I heard about Black Card, I was like to me, I'm such a huge movie guy. I was like, that would be like
Yeah.
a great movie or a series or something like that. And I'm glad to hear that something's moving forward in that vein.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I try to write really visually, and I like writing dialogue. So hope it hasn't been like too much of a lift. Hopefully, it's a different format, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. No, that's amazing.
Thank
Speaking
you.
of light, I want to go back to Light, Diffuse, and Run.
Yeah,
I want to show you. I want to
absolutely.
show you something real quick.
Uh-oh.
This is an 18-year-old or 18-plus-year-old Light, Diffuse, and Run shirt. Size
Oh, uh-huh.
small.
Size small.
Size
Okay.
small. And this is the new one that you guys just put out. A little
Mm-hmm.
different, huh? Size extra large because
Oh yeah.
I've gotten fat, so. But I still, even though this small doesn't fit, I still have it from.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I think you sent us a picture of that. Thank you, Hal. That was a fun thing to remake those shirts. Mike, our old guitarist, found the original screen in his garage or something. I think it was Mike. Maybe it was Evan. And Evan, the drummer, has like a print shop now called Docklands Design. So he just like remade the screen and redid the shirts, and it was fun.
When I saw that Evan redid the shirts, I was pumped because obviously that thing is I can't wear that anymore, but I still had it, and I was pumped, and I got right on that and grabbed myself one. So I was happy.
Oh,
I love that shirt. I wore the shit out of that old shirt.
thank you.
It's like a half shirt now to me if I put it on, but.
Oh yeah, I don't know how I was trying to rock a size small. I was always this tall, but I'm definitely more powerful looking now than I was 20 years ago.
I think that was the thing back then. I mean, I used to buy youth larges. I don't know what I was thinking. I was also 150 pounds back then, so youth larges could. But now I'm pushing 200 pounds. It's a little different now.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I said, I had a stack of shirts like this. All youth larges. I'm like, what the hell am I gonna do with these? Like, I can't even like give them away because nobody's that small.
Yeah. I've got a few T-shirts I want to pass on to my kid, who'll probably be like, "This is whacked out. I don't know. I don't know why you're trying to give me this. What is royal headache? But, yeah.
I always thought I have two daughters. One's 8 and the other one's 11. And I show them things about hardcore and punk. I was in a few bands too. And I go, oh, look at Daddy, and they could care less.
Really?
They don't give a shit about it at all. They're just like, oh, that's cool. Like,
I played Felix is my kid. He's 6. I played a Light, Diffuse, and Run song for him because he asked to hear what it sounded like, and he was kind of confused, and then he just got amped because it's pretty aggressive. He was like doing karate moves in the dining room.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Now, did you send a few Light, Diffuse, and Run shirts for him when he gets a little older?
I don't. I bought one of the ones that Evan made, but I never got like a lot of our shirts I didn't get because we would just like I'd be like I'll grab one at the end of the tour, and then all we'd have is like the wrong size or something.
Yeah.
So I don't. I have our records and a bunch of old flyers and stuff. Those are most of the mementos that I kept.
Yeah. So you do have all the records you guys put out because like I ask that every time, and a lot of people just don't they were like, no, I don't have it, or I only have a couple things, and I always ask if, everybody has their own stuff that they had put out.
Yeah, I've got it all, and I remember I always gave a copy to my parents too, so I could be like, "See, I really am doing something with my life here," and they kept them too. So yeah, we've got a few in circulation, and if not, they're all like 75 cents on Discogs anyway.
Yeah,
So I could always
Discogs
re
is
up.
amazing. I'll look up some obscure shit on Discogs, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy has it for $7. So that website's amazing.
Yeah, I always wanted the Southeast Hardcore Fuck Yeah comp that had like End of the Century Party and Palatka and Inhumanity on it.
Yeah.
And then at some point this summer, I was like, you know what? I bet I could order that on the internet. And I don't know how it took me 20 odd years to put two and two together with that. But yeah, I finally got a copy of this random 7-inch comp that I wanted when I was 17. And it still has like the cool, like flyers for the label, send us $3 and we'll send you this William Martyr 17 record or whatever. Yeah.
Do you remember the Very catalog? I always ask this too. Remember the Very distribution catalog? It was like a catalog back in like the mid to late 90s where they would sell hardcore CDs and punk CDs and 7 inches and stuff like that. And every release would have a write-up of like what the band sounded like. And do you remember that catalog at all?
I remember Very distribution. I don't know if I ever had the catalog though.
Yeah, they pushed out catalogs like every month, and then that's
Wow.
half of the bands that I learned about was just reading descriptions of the bands. You know what I mean? Sounds like this. I was like, holy shit! And then I pick it up. I didn't know if you remembered it because like you can't really even look up anything about that distribution place now. It's sad that nothing like that besides Discogs really is where you can get old hardcore stuff or 7 inches and stuff like that. I mean, there's nobody that's really pushing that out besides like Revelation, which doesn't have that much anyways.
Yeah,
But
I think
go ahead.
I think Abolition still has a distro with a fair amount of stuff in it too.
Yeah, that's right. Abolition does have a few things. Was No Omega the last band you were in?
Yeah. I was like in my mid-20s, and it was kind of that band ended, and I was like, this is a lot harder in New York, and I started kind of moving toward writing at that point.
And
I still like love punk music and stuff, and I keep joking that I'm going to start a band like when my kid is old enough to be embarrassed by it. So I have like 5 more years until that happens probably.
So when you went to California, you didn't have the fever to start a band or be in a band?
I did. I got the fever in Chicago, where we lived for a few years between New York and here, because we knew a lot of our friends were like functional adults that also had bands.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it kind of made it seem like you could do that. But we like, basically we moved here and had a kid shortly after. And my kind of rule for myself with being a parent is like, I get one thing that I can do, that like one extracurricular activity.
Yeah.
And that's my writing stuff, which is kind of, and to a lesser extent running also. I run like 15, 16 miles a week. And I want to train for a marathon as soon as that doesn't seem like a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
So if I feel like also having a band would just kind of distract me from everything else. Yeah. I want to be a good dad.
Plus on touring and stuff like that. I mean, I feel like I could be in a band, but I wouldn't be able to like tour. I'd only be able to play shows around like where I live. You know what I mean? I would still. Yeah. I can't scream that much anymore. It's kind of. I don't know. I feel like I'm a little too old for that, but I could be in a piebald cover band or something like that.
Yeah. I get a little bit of that life from book tour stuff, but it's also a lot more intentional. I'll like fly somewhere and do a couple of events, and I get a little bit of that like travel and seeing people that I don't get to see and visiting new places and all that, and it's also, I think there's a lot of kind of lines between like what DIY punk does or what some of that community that started even in the 80s and the way DIY shows are done and like other independent arts, be it like reading at an indie bookstore or like my wife is into experimental film, going to those things. Oh, nice. So it feels really similar. It's also like I don't have to sound check and hang out at the venue for like 9 hours. Yeah, I can be in and out of there in like 2 hours, and it's
that's a good thing. That's a totally different experience, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you for too long, but usually at the end I do a little rapid fire with everybody. So
all right.
I'll swing you some questions right now. Favorite New England punk hardcore band of all time for you?
Favorite New England one?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I'm gonna say Orchid. Chaos is me is that shit gets the chef's kiss.
Yeah, definitely. My second question, what was the first punk hardcore show you attended?
Yeah, cool. I know that I saw some in Boston, but I'm gonna say it was at Four Walls Falling, Frodis, and Damn Near Red in Richmond in March of 1995.
Um, Next question, all-time favorite punk hardcore show you played? Could be a couple. Yeah, like I always say it, and then people have one or two or three. Like all-time show that you played that meant the most to you.
I think playing at Gilman Street in Berkeley in 2002, playing there for the first time, it was just so memorable because it was, such a legendary venue that I've been hearing about for so long, like reading about it in Comet Bus, and then going and actually having the show go well. And like we ate awesome burritos and stuff that day, and like you don't really get that in Virginia. So I think that was perfect. It was my first time in California, and there was like other people that kind of looked like me there. I didn't stand out too much. Yeah, I'll say Gilman in 2002.
What
Hi,
about
Mom.
what about Flesh Eating Creeps? What was your favorite show that you guys played?
I mean, I think Tin Can Full of Dreams was a really, really good one. I liked playing. I like playing in the basement of the Park House, which was Brendan's house at the end of that band. Like our last show was in his living room, and it was awesome. We played with this band called Wafel, which is Brent Eyestone's old band.
Yep.
They played, and Jeff Byers' band played. He had like a kind of funny duo called Sassafras Jones. Who else played? That was a special one too. So it was just like all of our friends that we'd made over the course of a few years, all we're all there, and it was like a nice ending to kind of to being a teenager. Because I was about to be 20, 21.
Yeah. All right. My next question is all-time favorite punk hardcore show you attended that you actually watched and didn't play.
Yeah. You know what? I was thinking about questions you might ask. And I was trying to think of what my favorite one was, or like what the most killer one was. I'm going to go with this. This is a stretch. This is not that punk. But in the beginning of ninth grade, so fall of 1993, me and a few of my friends saw Fugazi and Shudder to Think and Sam Black Church at a hockey arena, I think in Northern Mass. It was somewhere like an hour outside of Boston.
Yeah.
And that was like an amazing show that had a different feel than like the arena gigs I've been to before. And it was, one of the first ones. So I'm gonna go with that.
I'm a huge Sam Black Church fan. I
Yeah?
love Sam Black Church. Like I said, when I was 15 and I really started going to shows, they had just like started, I think, and seeing Jet perform live, being a front man, I was like, who the hell is this guy? This guy is crazy. Doing, jumps and all kinds of crazy stuff. Sam Black Church is definitely one of my favorites of all time from around here. And
Yeah.
like I said, just the crunch of that guitar and the old stuff. Before, I think that album was Super Christ or something like that. The stuff before that was just the guitar was just so distorted and crunchy sounding. Like I said, they're up there for me.
Yeah, they were awesome. I remember one of my friends got the record that had their cover of Disco Inferno on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the band Big John Stud from up around here?
I don't think I don't know.
Or
what was their deal?
Or Scissor Fight. Do you remember that band?
That rings a bell, but I don't think I ever saw them.
Yeah, I think back then the Sam Black Church would play, a lot with like Big John Stud and stuff like that, especially when they would come up to New Hampshire. I was born in Massachusetts, but for the most part, I've lived in New Hampshire my whole life. So I was just throwing weird, obscure New England bands at you for a second there.
Yeah, there was like I remember there was two bands from my town. Like one was called Non Genius, and they were kind of a skate punk band. But I wasn't too tapped into anything beyond, like, I didn't really have an idea of, like, how the scene kind of rippled out from our town,
Did you ever get to see Slapshot when you were up here? Like,
no, I think that they might have stopped. They might have stopped by the time I was going to shows. Yeah.
All right. My next question, what was the last movie you watched?
Last movie I watched. Damn. I'm watching a TV show called Man Like Mobeen right now. It's like a comedy from England about a Pakistani dude who's like a kind of reformed gangster who's raising his teenage sister.
Yeah.
It's really funny and heartwarming. And so that's the TV I'm watching. Movie? Shit. I'm not sure. usually like our kid goes to bed, and then me and my wife don't want to watch 2 hours of something. You know, we
Yeah,
watch like 45 minutes, and then we need to go to bed. I want to watch Sound of Metal. I love Riz Ahmed. He's one of my favorite actors. He's so cool. And it looks like an interesting movie. I just got a screener for that, so I'm going to try to watch that one soon.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that. I was hyped up to watch it. Honestly, I thought it was kind of lackluster for me. I mean, I love him as an actor as well, but I don't know. It kind of left me flat after I watched it. I know it's got
Okay.
a lot of praise. I'm not trying to make you not watch it. It just wasn't like I expected more from it, and he
Okay.
was great. He was great in it, and like I said, I just felt like it needed more substance to me. But I mean,
Okay.
that's just my opinion.
Yeah. It might be whack. I don't know. I also get a kick. I also love seeing when Hollywood does like good production design with punk stuff. And I saw him. He was wearing like I don't know, like a cool hardcore shirt or something. And I was like,
Yeah,
that alone will get me to watch it.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
he had he wears a few, but he had a nice. I think he had a nice Youth of Today hoodie on.
Nice.
For a lot of that, and I think one of the live parts in that where he was playing in the band was at a club called Sonia, which used to be TT and the Bears in Cambridge.
Yeah, I remember TT and the Bears. Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that one of the sections of that film where they're playing live was filmed there,
Oh,
which is
shit.
cool. Which is
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna watch this. And I'll
And
keep my
I'm
expectations.
always pushing the movie of the year for 2020. If you haven't seen Possessor, that's my top movie of 2020.
Possessor.
You know David Cronenberg, right?
Yeah, of course.
His son Brandon has done 2 movies, and this is Brandon's second movie that he's made. And it has like a little sci-fi-ish, like weird horror twist to it. It's really good though, really, really, really good. So
That sounds okay. I've been enjoying scarier stuff lately. For some reason, comedy started stressing me out this year. Something's just different. I don't know. Maybe
yeah,
I'm feeling pretty evil and messed up right now, so I need some art that speaks to that. I don't know.
yeah, it's very different too. The movie's not like a straight up horror movie. It's very like complex and moves well. You know what I mean? It's very thought provoking. It's violent. Don't get me wrong. It's got some really violent parts to it. But
Okay.
like I said, he's starting to become a real good director, which is crazy because
Cool.
he made a movie called, I think it was called Viral, and then it was almost like an 8-year gap between Viral and Possessor, which is very weird to me. But both movies are good. Viral,
Okay.
I think, isn't as good as Possessor, but like I said, that movie definitely by far best movie of 2020.
Okay. I'll look it up. Yeah, I want to watch the Small Axe movies that the guy that did 12 Years a Slave did. They're all on like Amazon Prime or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I want to watch I want to see Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which was one of Chad Boseman's last roles before he passed. It's based on an August Wilson play, and he's such an amazing writer.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I'm excited to look at. Yeah.
My next question: favorite all-time horror movie for you?
Horror movie? Yeah, I don't watch a ton of horror. Honestly, I'm trying to think.
Like
Okay,
all time, like even back in the day, like
yeah. I think most memorable was I was watching some dumb one called Slumber Party Massacre that I got at random in the video store, and I was like 17. I was home alone, and I got scared, and I had to like go hang out at my friend's house, and it was embarrassing. I like got on my bike, and I'm fucking 17 years old, like biked across Richmond, just like knocking on my friend's punk house door, like, can I hang out for a while? I saw a scary movie, and like I don't want to be home, so let's say Slumber Party Massacre. Yeah.
nice.
Terrifying.
My last question: if you've been listening to hip hop, what have you been listening to for hip hop? Whether it be new or old or whatever, just throw out maybe a few things that you love listening to for hip hop.
Yeah, so the Fly Sifu album is good. That's Fly Anakin from Richmond and Pink Sifu. I'm a rap dad, so I like Open Mike Eagle a lot. His new album, Anime, Trauma, and Divorce rather, is amazing. I've been a fan of his for a while, and I think it's his best work. Of course, Run the Jewels. As a rap dad, I have to like that, and anything Q-Tip does. I think Megan Thee Stallion is such an amazing rapper. Who else? I've been revisiting MF Doom since he passed away. Rest in peace. God, what else? I'm looking at my stack of records. Let me see. I don't want to hit the wrong thing and click out of here. But yeah, that's most of my list right now, I think.
Yeah, MF Doom hit me pretty hard. Like I said, I always talk about, people always saying Biggie and Tupac, not that they weren't important, but to me, the ones that hurt me the most were like when Fife passed away, when Prodigy from Mobb Deep passed away, when
Yeah.
Sean Price passed away, and MF Doom. Those hit me so hard because I'm a huge lover of hip hop, and those guys are so important to that culture, and they're such great artists that I'm not knocking Biggie and Tupac by any means. I'm just saying that those guys in their passing just hurt me like deeply
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah. I was like, I can't believe I'm bringing in the new year, like crying and listening to Mad Villain. I did not expect the year to go this way.
I know the last day of 2020 that hits me. I was like, I couldn't
Yeah.
believe
Just that
it.
would, yeah.
Even though they news said that he had passed in October, which was
Yeah.
weird.
So mysterious. Yeah. And the other thing that messes with me, like hearing a lot of those rappers when I was like a teenager, or yeah, and they're not that much older than me. They were just like 21 at the time, and I was 13, so they seemed like these super sophisticated adults, you know. But it's like, damn, Doom was only like 8 years older than I am.
Yeah,
That's young, man. People shouldn't be dying that young.
yeah.
Um, and also, why wasn't I making art that good when I was 21 or whatever?
I was a huge KMD fan too. I don't know if you listen to KMD, but I loved KMD, which was crazy because, you know, Zev Love X turned into MF Doom, and it kind of
Yeah,
surprised me when that happened back then. But I'm a huge KMD fan. I love that first album. Even Black Bastards is a amazing album too. Um,
yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah, my parents got me the tape of Mr. Hood, that first KMD one when it came out. I remember, I think I just like asked for it off the strength of an ad I saw, and I saw that like Brand Nubian was on there, and I was like a very, very conscious rap 12-year-old.
yeah. I think I might have saw Peach Fuzz on Yo MTV Raps, the video, and I was like, I gotta buy this. I gotta buy this tape.
Nice.
Back then, I was buying tapes all the time, so
Yeah, same.
it was it's crazy. And lastly, have you been listening to anything new for heavy music lately at all? Like newer bands?
Yeah, yeah. I like Adult Life. It's adult with there's a K in there also, Adult Life. It's one of the dudes it's like the one guy from that Riot Girl band, Huggy Bear. It's his new band. And it's kind of noise rockish. He has this really cool voice also.
Yeah.
And it's a grower. Um, yeah, that's like my punk dad. When I'm not being a rap dad, when I'm being a punk dad, I'm enjoying that. What else? There's a group called the Muslims who are from North Carolina. It's like three queer Muslim kids, and it's really catchy. I've been enjoying that. Razor Cake that I write for, the punk magazine, just interviewed them, so I found out about them through that.
Yeah.
I just scooped up the Crudo stock discography, so I've been revisiting that.
Oh, it's a good one
What
right
else?
there.
Yeah. Oh, Chubby and the Gang. It's like it's like almost like power pop, oi type of stuff, played at
Yes.
hardcore speed. I'm loving that. What else do we have around here? Do, do, do. There's I still like a lot of punk music. I was just listening to the Spits this morning too. I realized they had a new album. Yeah, that's about it. Oh, and Haram, who's like a Muslim punk band from I think Jersey. They're really good. Yeah.
Awesome. Have you heard any of like For Your Health or like Portrayal of Guilt? Have you heard any of that new stuff that those bands have put out? Do you know those bands?
I know those names. Once again, Seth Babb keeps me pretty up to date on like the kind of newer screamo, scrams, whatever you want to call it stuff.
Yeah.
So I know I've heard some of these bands. It hasn't stuck with me too much. I think the most like abrasive, chaotic, current shit I like is Soul Glow. That band.
Oh my God, that new like small EP. Oh my God, so good.
Yeah, that's
so
a banger.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish that they were around 20 years ago. I really could have used hearing a black punk band that sounded like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they surprised me how good they that's what I've been dying for too, is something, like that, and those guys blow me away. Like the first album's so good, and then this new stuff is, I think, even better than their older stuff.
I agree. Yeah.
And I would
They're
love,
getting better
I
and
would
better.
love to talk to one of those guys too. I haven't reached out, but I would love to talk to one of those guys and sit down and shoot the shit with them too.
Well, find them. They're nice. I got to interview them. Me and James Spooner interviewed them for Razor Cake over the summer, and it was really good. It was interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to keep you too long. I know it's quarter past 7 here, but I just want to thank you so much, Chris, for taking the time out. I know we're both dads, and time is, short sometimes.
Yeah.
But I just want to thank you so much. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart for you sitting down
Sure.
with me for over an hour and talking about old times and what you got going on now. I just want to say thank you so much.
Hal, thank you for your time and your kind words and your great questions, and also for sharing all those cool videos on your page. Anyone who's watching here who doesn't know, go to Hal's page, and he's got reels of just awesome live footage of really good hip hop and kind of random hyper specific punk from stuff over the last 20 something years. There's some great stuff to see. Yeah, thank you for doing this, Hal, and for letting me be a part of it. It's exciting and validating.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those kind words. That's amazing to hear that. And please stay safe out there. I know you are, and have a great year. Please stay in touch with me. You need anything from me, just let me know. I'm always here for you.
Thank you, Hal.
And I hope, your family stays safe and happy. And I hope this year is a hell of a better year than last year.
Whew, yeah. I think we can only go up from here. Or, I don't know, or the wheels will just fully fall off.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. And keep in touch if you need anything from me. Fist bump. Yeah.
All right, man.
Cool. Thank you, Hal.
Good night, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, same to you, man. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Bye.